Jocelyn. All three of us actually play locally, so this is going to be fun as all three of us are participating in the Modern 2-2 Takedown Tournament presented by Chris and Rob Gaming Room. And this is round two, and I got paired up with Rob. So Jocelyn's gonna be our reporter slash commentator. So we won't be able to hear her. So try to make fun of us too much.
No
Thanks.
promises.
So thanks, Jocelyn, for doing that for us. So we can start. Ready to roll there, Rob?
Let's do it.
All
Roll
right.
some dice, please. Let's start with tiebreaker. Wilds?
Let's do question marks.
Okay.
All right.
Two sidekicks.
Wow, no sidekick. Look at those fists.
I know.
All right.
Fists for days.
So I will. I pick team first. If I want to go first or second. So I will pick my team up team, and I will go first.
Okay. I will go with. I'll go with my Adam team.
Okay.
Okay. And Kim, did you say you were going first as well?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just pulling your guys' teams up here while you're setting up. And I've got Rob on the Adam team, and I've got Kim on the team up team. So you guys let me know when you're ready, and then I will start the timer and mute so that you can't hear me. And we'll be good to go.
What color action were you using, Kristen?
Pink and gray.
Okay, I'm gonna switch mine up. So pink and gray.
Pink and gray. And you're gonna use.
Um,
I might not have all the colors, but just in case.
alright.
That's Noah, Kim's son, in the background there.
Yeah. We might hear him a bit. Who wants to roll my dice?
And I'll go red for my other action.
Okay. I just want to. Okay. Fill across places. Friends. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
All right. So I'm going first. I am ready, Jocelyn. You can start the timer.
Okay, timer is on. Good luck to you both. 90 minutes.
Good luck. I will.
So Kim has re-rolled. She's got a sidekick, a wild, and a mask. And I'm going to say she's probably going to go for a 1T here.
You are. We can hear you, Jocelyn.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mute that. Sorry, guys.
I might not go for that. So
Now they can't hear me because I remembered to mute the screen.
use your Vertic Club bonus. Spin that, and I got a black one.
Okay. And that's a smart move by Kim with the Atom team to help prevent some of the damage coming through from the Atom when he spins up. So the Atom team is not quite as powerful as it was prior to the energy field errata, which took effect about 2 weeks ago, right before Canadian Nationals. However, using the energy field global with Storm, which Rob has on his team, which really helps with removal of your opposing character dice. Kim's team up team is very fast. It's an excellent team that she's put together, and Rob has played against it before, so I know that he's going to try and look at some protection.
Sidewalk. Going to Clayface Sidewalk with the double mage. All by Storm.
Alright.
And that's a great first turn by Rob using the Clayface Global to get him a Psylocke with a couple of masks to help him with his spinning, and then also getting his Storm in, which
Yeah,
helps with removal.
I Zatanna and then I'll kill the psychic. And I'll pass priority. And enter.
Rob might go for a Mimic here. He could Clayface in the Psylocke.
Use Clayface Global for Sidewalk with double mage. All by Adam Form.
And then he's going to resurrect.
Resurrection.
Yeah. So this is a smart move by Rob, because now he has everything he needs in his bag. His Storm, his Atom, and a Psylocke, so that he can start the spinning machine. That Zatanna, though, is going to spell some trouble for Rob, because when she's active and Rob spins up character dice, she will cause him damage.
Alright.
So she gets the Black Widow and the Zatanna, and Rob is really going to have to focus on his removal.
Alright, so I'm gonna field Zatanna level 2 for free. Widow level 1 for free. I'll res. And I will pass priority and enter.
So that was a really good pull by Rob. He got Storm and Atom. However, it does look like they might both be on level 1.
These two field for free. I'll use Clayface Global to play Psylocke with 2 I'll buy a weapons. And pass priority.
I will field the psychic. Pass it back.
And enter.
Alright. 24 in the bank.
So definitely going for some control there with the Green Devil Mask. Team up depends on Kim having a lot of characters so that she can push through his blockers. And now she's only be able to keep 3 in the field.
Okay. I'm going to use Thor's Global to buy a Hawkswalker. Then I'm sorry, what am I doing? Thor's Global to buy Hawkswalker. Thor's Global to buy Team Up. Sorry. That's action dice. I'm actually going to buy Hawkswalker.
That makes a lot more sense.
I will res. I pass priority.
So I think Kim's strategy here is that she's going to try and push with Team Up early and often in hopes of KOing Rob's characters as blockers. And that is spelling bad news for Kim. If that Green Devil Mask rolls on a trap face, then she is immediately going to have to re-roll because she already has 4 characters in the field. And there it is.
Yeah, just gonna trigger.
So
Put it
Kim
back, right?
actually
Yeah.
Kim actually gets 3 back. She gets 1 sidekick.
Use to pile one together.
And they stay in the same level they rolled back.
Okay. That was not what Rob was hoping for sure.
Devil Mask is now in the use pile, or is it still there?
I see feels when used. Send to your use pile when triggered. Oh,
Send to your use pile. So it is in the use pile. So
yeah.
I could use Clayface Global. That's correct.
You cannot. Sorry,
Oh
guys.
no?
Yeah. Anything that goes on your own turn goes
Yep.
out of play before it goes to used.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
Thanks.
No problem. I just. Sorry.
I didn't know that. That's okay.
Nope, nope. That's good. So I will purchase. I'll go with a Billy Club custom.
Alright. Clean my bank. 2 seconds. Okay, this turn.
So this is going to give Kim 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
One,
6
two.
affiliations.
Okay.
6 affiliations. So with the team up, she's going to get +5/+5 on all her characters.
One spin this round using my bullet time. I'm going to buy a Scarlet Witch. Upfield Poxwalker level 2 for free. I'll use team up, so everybody is going to be +5/+5. This one's going to be 6 affiliations. Pass priority?
That's correct.
I will attack with these 3. So we have a 7/7, a 6/7, and a I can't do math here. A
6/6.
7. Sorry, a 6/6.
Right.
Psychic.
So I'll block Poxwalker and Zatanna.
Okay.
I'll take the 6.
So Rob's taking 6 from that sidekick. And now it's back to his turn. I think that he would have been smarter to take the 7 from the Zatanna, because now if he starts spinning up his Atom, he's going to take damage as well.
I'm going to re-roll the sidekicks. Okay, I will field these.
Looks like that Storm might be on a level 2, so he could at least spin Atom up once, but with Black Widow, it's going to do 1 damage to him and 1 damage to Kim.
Okay, I'm going to use the Zatanna Global
Mm-hmm.
and storm up to level 2. And I'm going to name your Zatanna.
Okay, so when you do that, because the 10 is active, you're actually going to take a damage.
Yep, that's fine.
And then you're naming, sorry, whom?
Zatanna.
Goes back. Oh, goes back to level she was at, right?
Yeah, level she's at.
Yeah. Okay.
Rob should Clayface in one of those characters
No globals, just one special.
to give him some energy field globals, but he is going to take some damage here.
And I'm going to use Clayface Global to burn 2 masks. Then I'm going to spend the mask.
So I think Rob's gonna hold some masks for next turn to try and spin out that Zatanna on Kim's turn. That is one thing I really like about the Atom team, is that you can spin stuff on your opponent's turn. So unlike a lot of the other teams where your own turn is the focus, the Atom team really lets you do things throughout the entire game.
Give me a second. Sorry, give me a second to load.
Kim might buy another team up here to have a second one cycling in her bag, and since the effect multiplies when you have multiple team-ups, it might be a smart strategy for her.
I'm gonna buy a yawn tea. Res.
Yanti's a smart strategy too, because when she uses the team up, she'll get to do the attune damage, plus she becomes unblockable.
Okay. I'm gonna spend the mask to become another sidekick.
You can keep going.
Yep. What level is your Poxwalker?
2.
Okay. I'll use a Tana Global to spin that up.
You can't. It's on your turn. You can only do that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just reviewing it now. On your turn. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay, pass back.
Alright, then I enter.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those like, oh, it really restricts you.
Okay. I thought I could just
I wonder if Rob forgot he could Clayface on Kim's turn as well. Billy Club is handy. So Billy Club is going to let Rob choose target opposing character die and re-roll it. And if it rolls an energy, it goes to the use pile, similar to Green Devil Mask. So if he can get that Zatanna out, then he can do some spinning.
Okay,
Again,
use
the Black
Billy
Widow.
Club on your Zatanna.
Okay. She's back. And she will go back to level 2.
Yeah. I'm gonna use
I think Rob's trying to decide if he should Billy Club here to get another mask. Which I think is a smart strategy, and if I was him, I'd recommend it. That would give him 3 masks and a question mark, and he could use the question mark to spin up something, dealing Kim a damage. But with her Black Widow active, would that take effect? I don't think it would, because it's Kim's character. So the text on Black Widow reads, while Black Widow is active, reduce damage for opposing characters' abilities by 1. Zatanna's global would not be an opposing character ability.
and pass where are you?
That's back.
Enter.
Yeah.
So Rob's going to do some spinning on Kim's
Oh,
turn.
in the vein.
Kim missed the team up. She got the Wanty and the Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch rolled, so that's good for her. Not so good for Rob, with that Green Devil Mask in his bag. Kim is very well poised at this point in the game.
Psychic. Scarlet Witch on level 2. 1. Level 3. And then I'll res. Asperry.
Pass that.
That was my turn.
Or I will do. Sorry. Roll the window. Sorry, I said that.
Mm-hmm.
Then go back.
Mm-hmm.
And cut to this stuff. Yes, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then pass that.
And enter.
Okay, there's only 3 in the bag. Hope that gets some removal happening here.
Scarlet's out in the field, so you know.
Okay, so that has to stay, right?
Correct. And
What?
Billy Clo's gotta get rerolled.
Unless I pay the Asarak global?
That's right. And you could choose only one action die as your once per turn.
Okay. So I have to reroll Billy Club.
Correct.
So Rob can use Kim's Asarak Global to reroll one of those, and I would probably
I will
reroll
spend the 1 generic energy
Green Devil.
to reroll Green Devil ones. Ooh,
Now
so
that is lucky.
okay,
That is
so Green
lucky
Devil
for
back
Kim.
into play.
Oh,
Alright, so that is lucky for Rob. Kim has to reroll everything. And she
Alright,
loses
back.
everything but a Wanty and a Poxwalker.
Where does it go? I forget. Regular
So,
level or what rolled level, right?
yeah, it goes on the whatever it rolled.
Wow, look at that. Almost there.
So this is really good news for Rob because he can start spinning here. Unfortunately, he does not have a lot of masks.
I will resurrect,
Yep.
He should Billy Club.
and I will. I will spin a sidekick to a mask.
Mm-hmm.
I will pay it. I will spin down Storm. Spin Adam up 1.
Okay. I think what Rob may have wanted to do there, and in the moment just forgot, was to save that mask for Kim's turn, so he could have clay faced and started doing a couple of things. But at least he's got
Oh, yeah. Alright.
his Adam done up, and he's done 2 damage to Kim. So Kim here got her team up. She's got her Black Widow back. And she does have a pump global on this team under Ray's shields. Target character gets +1A, so those 2 question marks could be handy. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so +4/+4. 1T is unblockable with a point of attune, so that's 6, 7. With the question mark is an 8, which is not enough. Because Rob is at 13. And Kim's doing the math here. Because Rob will be able to block 3 of those dice.
Storm is on level.
Level 1. This is all.
Kim should use the team up. If I was Kim, I would use the team up and take him for 7.
I'm gonna res.
She could actually use the attune to take out one of his sidekicks, but he still has enough blockers, so she would probably put the attune directly to his life bar.
I gotta use team up. I use +4/+4. I'm gonna use the attune damage on the storm.
Oh, okay.
That's a smart play by Kim to take out the storm.
Hmm.
And now her Wanty is unblockable for 6 if she chooses to attack with it.
Attack. So attack with yeah, I'll attack with Yanti, who's unblockable. So
Okay.
take 6.
Okay, yes.
And sorry, I forgot the pass priority, but you can do that.
So one in my bag.
So Rob needs to pull some removal here. He got the mask,
Oh, I don't have them.
but she only has 3 characters in the
I should have
field.
them next turn.
Good.
Scarlet Witch is not active, so that works in Rob's favor if it rolls. Zatanna's not active, so he can spin fists.
There it is.
So you missed the storm, which is a shame, but that green double mask is really going to affect Kim's next turn.
Okay, that's good.
If Rob reses, I believe all he has in his bag is a billy club. And we are at 24 minutes on this game, so we have an hour 6 left so far in the up to 3 game tournament.
5 on storm. And I'm going to use resurrection roll then. Pass priority.
Pass back.
Okay, I will declare an attack with Psylocke. She's a 1/2.
A 1/2.
Kim's probably going to let that through, because it's only 1 point of damage, but it's going to put the Psylocke in Rob's use pile, which is going to allow him to Clayface it in next
I
turn.
will block.
Okay. I will use your panic roller. Spin her up. Level 2 to do 2 points of damage.
Okay, so that's got Kim on 16, Rob on 7, and Kim needs to be very strategic this
Okay.
turn, because that green double mask can play on Rob's side. If she gets that Scarlet Witch, fortunately there is a billy club in play. If she remembers, she could pull out her sidekick.
My gash fists.
Well, and she didn't get the Scarlet Witch. If Kim fields that sidekick, she's going to trigger the mask. The only thing that should be in Kim's bag at this point is a Zatanna die. If I'm counting correctly. A Zatanna die and a sidekick.
Okay, so I'm gonna pay 1 gold, and then I'm gonna buy another team up.
Doubling down on the team ups. And then she's just trying to decide here if she wants to trigger the mask or not. It's risky.
Oh,
Scarlet Witch, you needed to roll.
yeah.
It's a risky maneuver.
Yes, it is.
You are refill. feel this, and I'll trigger your Green Devil Mask.
So Kim's gonna hope for those characters. And she actually got a sidekick, and everything else went away. So the mask is now in Rob's use pile.
Okay, I'm gonna use a mask. That's right. Very club.
And then we'll end turn.
Okay.
So Rob is hedging his bets here. He's trying to keep his bag thin, and he's trying to make sure he has enough blockers for Kim's next team up.
That's the Green Devil mask.
Oh my god.
He gets a storm. I can't tell what level that storm is on. It looks like a level 1, perhaps.
Ooh, you're lucky it did not roll.
He got 2 storms.
Okay, 2 storms, level 1.
And he's got the Billy Club. So you could just try and roll out the sidekick and open up Kim's field for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
I'm going to purchase a Psylocke. Use a Billy Club normally. Use it to play bases. And I will spin Adam down to spin Storm up. And then Storm down to spin Adam up. And I get a negative sidekick.
So Kim's going to take 2 points of damage,
That'll take me to 40.
and she loses the sidekick in the reroll. The Billy Club doesn't help him now.
Hotspur.
Hopefully the psychic. That's fine. Alright. Mucky a bag.
Rob was 1 short there if he had swung, and without a bolt to use the Rage Shield Global.
Yay, sidekicks.
He could have used the Billy Club to try and roll her sidekick out.
You know what? Actually, I can keep that.
So Kim gets the Zatanna level 1, which is going to cause Rob some damage. And now Kim's trying to thin her bag out.
End turn.
Okay. 3 dice in my bag.
So Rob's got a Psylocke, 2 sidekicks.
Green Devil mask.
What's funny because Green Devil Mask and Psylocke looks the same.
Yeah.
So he got the Billy Club. He probably doesn't really want the sidekick. Or the Psylocke. He probably wants masks here, because if he can get some of Kim's stuff out, that's really going to help him.
Okay, great for lovely. Because I'll use Belly Club, maybe it's a 10.
Mm-hmm. That's a 10. Yeah. Comes back on a level 2. Keep remembering. Oh no, on its original level. Everything's original level. Yep.
Okay.
So Rob has to be very strategic here, because if he spins his Storm, which he can do, he can spin his Atom down to spin his Storm up, he's going to take a damage because of Zatanna. But it may be worth it at this point. But Zatanna has been rolling back extraordinarily well, but at some point it's going to have to not do it.
Let's spin Storm up to level
He didn't really have a chance here, but it would have been handy if Rob could have got his bishop out to protect against this non-combat damage.
That's
If he holds here, he could clayface on his next turn to bring in the billy club, and he would have 4 masks.
down Adam.
He's going to try with the storm again.
Okay, there's another damage. She's
Ah, finally. If I were Rob, I would probably do 1 spin now and hold for the next turn.
Spend 2 masks to put Storm down to level 1, bring Adam up to level 2, and then the other mask will put the other Storm. Adam up to level 3, so
So I think Rob's in the make hay while the sun shines team here, so he's got Kim down to 10, he's at 5. This is a very close game.
okay, thank you. Like a
All
surprise
right.
this round.
Ugh.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Unblockable Wanty. It's only 3. It's 3, so it's +2 +2, 4 plus a point of attune.
2 should come through
5.
4. Probably do the attune damage to your life, and I can pump her.
Okay.
Because you can't do anything to stop her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good game. Oh my god.
Got it.
Green Devil Mask is
That is a great game, guys. I have paused the timer for you. We are at 55 minutes, just so you know that first game was 35 minutes long.
Okay.
So you've got 55 minutes left, and at this point Kim has to change because she's taken the first match, and then Rob, you get to choose as well if you'd like to stick with your Atom team or if you would like to flip to your Iceman team.
I'm gonna stick with my Adam team, and I'm gonna step away for 2 months. I'll be right back.
okay.
Yep, everything's on pause.
And he gets to choose the
He does. He gets to choose as the loser of the first match. Okay, so Kim, you are flipping to your other team, which has Collector and Jubilee and Mimic and Wrecker and Shriek and oh my goodness.
Call it the Absorber. No.
Are you sure that's what you call it, Kim? I think we need to come up with a better name for that.
Actually, I'm going to separate myself too. I'm just going to
Absolutely, no problem. So while our players are taking a short break here and resetting up, let's just review what's going to happen here. So Rob is going to stick with his Atom team, which is the team that you just saw him play, and Kim is switching to her team B. Is this her team B or her team A? It's actually her team B. And this team has a ton of control. So this team has Shriek Sonic Beam, the True Mr. Six's absolute favorite card of the game. It has Wrecker Enchanted Crowbar, which is, I know, the absolute favorite card of our friend Ben said Scott. And if you can't catch the sarcasm there, I'm being a little sarcastic. Mimic Flying, Blasting, Slashing, which is great removal. And I was actually surprised that Rob didn't buy that in his first game, because he has that on his team as well. She's got Kree Captain here, which I think is here primarily for the global, for the 2 fists. And it doesn't have any other text, it's blank except for the global. She's got the Collector, which allows her to field him and then bring characters in for 2 less energy and field them. But I do feel like that's probably Kim's backup strategy. I think what she's going to do is probably focus on Absorbing Man and Jubilee here, where she's going to get an Absorbing Man in the field and then start fielding her Jubilees, because when fielded, you deal 2 damage to target character, die, or opponent, and Absorbing Man gets to copy that when fielded ability. But she's got a lot of cool stuff here. She's got Resurrection and she's got Counter Strike, so she's got some prep, and this is going to be a very interesting game, especially if she gets that Wrecker out. Rob may want to look at trying to get his Bishop, and this Kree Captain Global on Kim's team is certainly going to help him out with that, because that non-combat damage from Jubilee and Absorbing Man is definitely going to be a threat here. He also has to worry about Wrecker. So, because Wrecker preventing him from using globals except on active characters, and Energy Field is not active. So, that is a tough one. So we'll see how this game goes.
Sorry, just putting
No worries.
Alright. So that was a great first game.
Midnight, so.
Yeah. Right.
Great first game, guys. That one was tough.
I'm sweating, so you know.
That was tough. That was a chess match.
It was. It was very, you guys were very strategic, and, you know, at one point it did look like Kim had it all wrapped up, and then Rob, you
Yeah, I
just
know.
flipped it on her,
That
and,
first game, taking out 5 of my characters.
yeah,
Had to
so.
back foot there for a while.
And then it was just that one T. If that one T hadn't rolled, then we'd still be playing that game potentially, so. So yeah, but great job on the first game, guys. So you just give me the go-ahead when you're ready to go. And Rob, you get to choose if you're going first or second.
Okay. I will go first.
Okay, so Rob's going to go first, and I'm going to hit the go team, and this time I'm not going to forget to mute my mic. So good luck to you both.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Okay, so Rob's first roll here, he's got a sidekick, a shield, and a bolt.
I will purchase Psylocke. I will play face global it over at 2 masks and buy a second Psylocke. Absolutely.
So Rob's setting up with lots of masks to get himself spinning early.
You don't have res, right? Yes. Okay, I have res too, and I have Counter Strike Global. Sidekick. Alright, good sidekick. Use Kree Captain Global, and I'm gonna buy Absorbing Man. Last two.
Yeah, Kim's going straight for her Jubilee strategy, so Rob would be well positioned if he could get his bishop here.
We'll use Billy Club Global. Spin that to a max. Then we'll use Kree Captain Global. And we'll buy Bishop 2 and a
Smart move by Rob, but if he'd remembered that he could have clay-faced in the Psylocke, that may have helped him, because he might have still been able to. No, he couldn't have res because he only had masks and fists, so he's just got a messy bag and he's gonna have to hope for some good pills.
Masks.
No resurrection for Kim on this turn either, although she could counter-strike global.
And I'm going to use the Counter Strike Global. And I'll pass priority.
Okay, so Rob needs some strategic pulls here. Let's hope that that bishop comes out for him quickly. He's got a Psylocke and 3 sidekicks. Trying to re-roll the Psylocke for her Energize effect would not be effective at this point, since there's nothing in Rob's use pile. So he might as well keep the mask.
I purchase Swarm.
Right.
Just like to comment on Kim's dice bag here. It is very nice, and I made it. So if you want to check out my Etsy store, you can check it out at Joss Stitch, where I make dice bags, and I do take custom requests. So keep that in mind. Rob is also using a dice bag that I made.
Okay.
Shameless plug, hashtag. Shameless selfie. Shameless self-plug, self-promotion. The nice part about that Jubilee
I don't know what to do with it.
is that it's 0 to field. So that is good news for Kim. And that 2 damage, she could put it to Rob, or she could KO the sidekick. If I was her, I'd probably KO the sidekick and then come through for 2 damage.
2 fists, pre-crafted level, and I gotta buy a mimic. I will res. I'll field Jubilee, which I'll do 2 damage to your life.
She's going to hit his life bar.
That's priority.
And then she's going to hope that he blocks. And he does. So they're both KO'd, and Kim is going to be able to re-roll that next turn. Bishop. Now that's good news for Rob. Let's hope that that rolls for him. Okay, it has not yet. The Psylocke is good though. We've got the Energize effect there, so. Ooh. That there is a heartbreaker, although at least he's got 2 shields out of it, so he can resurrect twice, since we have it on the field twice, if he wanted.
Purchase.
I think Rob.
I have Energize.
Okay.
So another sidekick.
Good, he remembered his Energize ability. And I think he's going to buy a green devil mask.
5 green double mask.
Mm-hmm.
And each have resurrection, so I will res twice.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to thin out the bag
Plus back.
so that his next turn he may be able to refill his bag. So
Oh.
Kim's missed the Absorbing Man and the Jubilee. Fortunately, she still has a reroll. And she missed all of them.
No, it looks like you put your bad rolls on me there.
Yeah.
Hashtag bad rolls.
I missed a roll with Bishop, and you missed your roll.
Well, this is a rebuilding turn.
Okay.
That is a lot of energy for Kim. Looks like she's going to Kree-Captain something. Rob hasn't bought an Atom yet, or a Storm. He's kind of focusing on protection at this point. So Kim may not buy Wrecker yet, because it's early.
Buy another Jubilee. A Shriek. Res. Just noticed that you don't have a Shriek. That's priority.
Plus back. Plus my back.
Yeah, so Rob's going to refill.
But you got Storm, most
And-
fun is Captain.
Yeah.
Psylocke and some sidekicks. Thins out his bag. Kim's got a mimic. There's not really anything exciting to mimic for her right now. She could mimic the Psylocke, but it doesn't really do anything. Except KO a character.
Oh, of course I have to pay for that.
I think she should re-roll the mimic.
Here we roll up. It's 4. Okay, I don't know if that was a bad idea or a good idea.
We can confirm it was an idea.
Jubilee. The double res. Tax priority. Okay.
So Kim's rebuilding this turn.
Rolls this time. Okay,
And Rob has a bishop. He also has a Psylocke on a double mass, which would allow him to field sidekick. I'd roll the green double mask, but I would save the Psylocke. Well, at least he's got the bishop. This is going to help him.
Very good for rolls.
He's going to be able to field a sidekick with the energized global.
let's spin this storm down. Bishop.
It's like a level 1 bishop, so it's a 5 defense.
That Psylocke is on double.
Mhm.
That's really helping him thin his bag, especially with all these missed rolls. That's going to be helpful. No resurrection this turn. Nothing he can spin. And Kim's team doesn't really have anything that's valuable for him to mimic.
Let's use play-based global to bring us in on double fists. I will purchase and I will use Counter-Strike global to prep the sidekick down. I'll pass priority.
Pass back.
Okay, let's see what Kim comes up with here. Oh, she's got a Shriek and an Absorbing Man.
Alright guys, let's roll this time.
This could spell some trouble for Rob,
Or not.
Oh wow.
because that Shriek, she could shriek out the bishop.
Not at all.
And then if her Jubilee and Absorbing Man rolls, strategic fielding would help her with this.
Oh my god.
Well, she got her Shriek.
Can't register to draw.
Well, Shriek is something. It's a starting point.
Can't say it doesn't. Okay.
Now Rob has something to mimic. He could mimic the Shriek. Mimicking the Shriek, if it's successful for Rob and they both roll character faces, then Rob would have a Shriek that's blanking nothing, but her Shriek would be KO'd. So it's a good removal of the Shriek.
Well, I'll shriek and I will name your bishop.
I hear the slapping of the card shield down. The card shield is from the 3D Geekery, or is he playing with the one from... Nope, he's playing with Reg. Reg Sims Shriek tokens.
Counter-Strike global.
Reg is the other half of Kim and Reg in the Great White North.
For Kitty Pryde. Pass turn. End turn.
So Kim is changing strategy. with her Kitty Pride, which allows her to not be blocked if she attacks with another X-Men character, which conveniently Mimic and Jubilee are X-Men characters. This is better for Rob. He's got a Storm and he's got a Green Devil Mask. But it does again look like that Storm is on level 1, so there can't be any spinning. It's hard to tell if it's on level 1 or level 2. Kim only has 2 characters in the field right now, but it will certainly prevent her from fielding more. If that is on a level 2, he could spin the Storm down to spin the Bishop up, and then he could spin the Bishop down to spin the Storm up. To do that, he has the ability to get at least 2 masks. Now he has 3.
I'm going to use Billy Club Global to bring the psychic down to a mask. I will purchase Billy Club. Storm. Green Devil Mask with the fight. And I will use Resurrection Global.
So still trying to thin this bag out.
Last priority.
That looks like it might be a Mimic.
Nice.
So, strategery here on Kim in order to not trigger the mask. This is probably when her characters will start probably when her characters will start rolling.
Green Devil Masks.
So with Bishop Shrieked, Kim would be able to do 4 damage to Rob this turn, but she would trigger the mask unless she Billy Clubs the sidekick back using Rob's Billy Club Global to keep only 3 characters in the field.
So double red.
Thinning that bag out.
So I'm gonna field this Jubilee dealing 2 to your life. Field this Jubilee, which will do 2 to your life again, and then I will re-roll.
So Kim's going to trigger the mask because she doesn't want the Jubilees in the field anyway.
Oh wow.
But that is a heartbreaker because she lost everything, including the Shriek. So now Rob's Bishop is unshrieked.
3 in my bag.
No attacking with the Invisible Woman this turn.
You rolled it again.
Nothing for Rob to mimic, so he probably wants to re-roll that. But level 1, these level 1 characters are really hurting Rob, and that's the one thing with the Atom team. When everything rolls on level 1, then you're really sort of stuck. Unless that Psylocke is on a higher level, which it may be. He doesn't really want the Psylocke. What if he just attacked? He's not going to have enough. It's a lot of sidekicks.
Okay, so Adam is level 1. He heals for 3. Psylocke level 2 heals for 3.
He can Billy Club to make 1 mask. He might want to burn that Mimic. Unless he's going to attack with it. be a smart move here is if he spins down his Psylocke to spin up his Atom and then attacks with his Psylocks and his Mimic.
To spin this mimic down is level 1. Spin up Adam's level 2.
Because he doesn't really need the Psylocks or the Mimics in the field. And if he attacks with them, they're going to go through, which means they're going to be in his use pile, which means he's going to be able to use them with Clayface. He's got 3 sidekicks in his bag, and a Storm, and a green devil mask, it looks like,
I will
and a billy club.
declare an attack with 2 Psylocks for 3 points of damage.
Okay, so 15 on Kim, 14 on Rob. It's a nail biter here.
Okay.
It's a nail biter here in Mississauga, Brampton, Oshawa, where the various of us are. In the Great White North. Is Kim going to re-roll that Kitty Pryde? I think she should. Because she can attack with the Jubilee. And Kitty Pryde would have been unblockable. We're at 35 minutes left on the clock. When I get a moment, I'm going to jump in and give the players an update on time. What would Kim mimic? If we look at here, she's probably going to mimic Bishop. That would be the smart play. Well, she has some masks. She could try and mimic Atom and do some spinning of her own. But Bishop's probably the smarter play.
Counter strike them.
If she can mimic out Bishop, then she'd at least be able to do 2 damage this turn with the Jubilee.
Double res.
Again, focusing on thinning out the bag. There's that Absorbing Man that has not rolled for her yet.
3. You'll mimic naming the bishop.
So Kim rolls and she gets energy, and Rob also gets energy. So both characters are KO'd and there's no bishop in the
Deal
field.
Jubilee to deal you 2.
So Rob is on 12.
Pass priority.
How's that?
I will attack with 2 on Jubilee.
I'll block with mimic.
So both characters are KO'd, and now it's over to Rob. So he's going to roll that Mimic, he's going to roll Bishop, he's got a green Devil Mask and a Billy Club. The Bishop rolls back.
Wow.
Nothing really for
That's
Rob to mimic again. He could Billy Club out that sidekick. Kim is on 15. Yeah. He was looking for masks.
okay, so mimic. I'll field mimic. Maybe your sidekick. Sidekick.
Yes. Yeah. Energy.
Okay. Energy. energy.
Okay. I'll put the Green Devil Mask in.
So Kim's got an empty field right
And
now.
put Bishop in. So I will spend a mask to put Bishop down to a level 2 and Adam up to level 3. Do your 2 points.
It's going to put Kim on 13.
And I'll pass priority.
Automatically feel this.
I
Huh?
think you're at, I think you're at 13, right? Were you at 15?
Oh,
No.
no. I don't know.
Kim is at 13.
Oh, she's at
Oh,
13. That's why.
okay.
Yep.
That's it. Thank
So
you.
I pass priority.
Pass back.
So okay, 5. That's 8. That's 10. That's 13 minutes.
There you go.
So if I declare an attack and swing, that should be game, correct?
Yep.
Yep. Good game.
Yeah. Then not roll characters.
Excellent game, guys. That one was super close. Talk about intense. To give you guys a update, you are at 30 minutes and 8 seconds left on the clock.
Okay.
So you have basically 30 minutes to finish your last game here, and we are 1-1 with Rob and Kim. So at this point, Rob has to change teams, and Kim has to stick with her team. And this is going to be a nail-biter of a match with a 2-1 result somewhere. Okay, so I'll let you guys flip, and then Kim, you will get to choose if you go first or second.
Yeah. Hmm. Oh, so that's right.
Yep.
So you guys just give me a heads up when you're ready, and I will restart time.
Okay.
I will go first.
So Kim's decided to go first, and Rob is getting his team set up, and he is playing his Iceman team. And this team is a team that Rob knows very well. It is
Well, no Green Devil Mask to worry about here.
very close to the team that he took to Canadian Nationals, which he took to second place. He did make a couple of tweaks to it for this tournament, but essentially here it's bolts for days is the plan. And the thing that could mess him up is if Kim goes for her wrecker on this team. So fortunately he has a shriek on this team, so he can shriek the wrecker. He also has a songbird,
What's Shriek? The battle of Shriek.
which has a flip card, which is a flip card. On one side, she is Intimidate, and on the other side, she KOs a target sidekick character die when fielded.
Alright, so I'll go first.
Okay, good luck.
Okay, good luck to you both, and time is back on, 30 minutes. Kim is going first, so we'll switch camera to Kim, where she is re-rolling 2 dice.
Start by me.
She's going straight for her when fielded abilities.
I will buy 4 bolts. I will buy Iceman.
No Clayface in this match, which is helpful, but not always necessary.
Pre-capital global by a engineering. Then I will Rex. Oh my gosh. Oh no. This and this and is that right? Is that like that? This is what I rolled. That's correct, right? Yep.
You got it.
Okay. Splash. So yep. Priority enter.
Okay, I will buy Shriek, and I will advance.
So Rob now has the start of his engine going. Iceman is a fast team if you can get it going. And that is a level 1 Jubilee, which is in Kim's favor. It doesn't cost her anything to field it. So Rob runs this team with a lot of globals. He's got Professor X to field sidekicks, and then he's got Mjolnir, which makes a sidekick into a bolt, and then Techno, which allows him to turn any sidekicks in his reserve pool or field zone. By spending one bolt, turns as many of the other ones that he wants that are active, either in field or reserve to bolts. So that really helps this Iceman
What
team.
are you going to shriek?
It's always the shriek question when you buy a shriek early. What are you going to shriek?
Low res.
Yep.
Your Jubilee being 2 points to your life.
First blood to Kim.
And I will attack with her for 2 damage.
That was 16.
Thank you.
I really do like that Space Invaders bag that Rob is playing. So he got the Shriek, he didn't get the Iceman. And missing the Iceman here is a hurt. Especially going from a double bolt to a single bolt. He's gonna have to pay to field that Shriek. It looks like it's a level 2 Shriek potentially. 1, 2, 3. Is he gonna reach for a Wanty or is he gonna reach for a Throne Brick here?
I'll buy a Throne Brick. Pay to field Shriek, and I'll pay to field Wanty.
Okay. This
And
is
I
my
will use Instant Resurrection. Pass turn.
alright. Breaking bank.
So with Jubilee Shrieked, it's a smart plan on Rob's part at this point, because Absorbing Man can't copy a when fielded effect that doesn't exist. And she hasn't bought anything else. So Kim's gonna have to, she's on the back foot now, she's either gonna have to buy a Shriek of her own, or she's gonna have to buy something
And
to
absorbing man.
stop there.
He does not want to play.
Stop those globals.
Now he goes.
And we are at 25 minutes left on the 90-minute match. The one bad thing about Rob's team is because he has the globals to allow you to make lots of bolts, your opponent can also make lots of bolts, and by doing that, it's really easy for Shriek to be removed.
2 fists and a mask or mimic. Spin this down to field absorbing man. Pass iron
Pass turn.
and turn.
Kim, you knocked your d20 there, marking your life.
Oh, I did. Thank you. I didn't even know I did that. I'm not at 13.
Alright, so Rob refilled his bag and he's got himself a Throne Brick, so that's going to help him prep and get through his bag faster. Checking to make sure I muted, and I did, thank goodness. You could just buy another Iceman here.
I'll buy Songbird.
Okay, so he's going for the Intimidate.
I'm going to use Resurrection.
Kim's dice are dancing all over the table. So again, that this Jubilee looks like it's a 1 to field. It must be a level 2. But Jubilee is shrieked at the moment, and she does not have enough bolts to KO that Shriek. That Shriek is on a 3 defense. So fielding the Jubilee will have no effect. Absorbing him will have no effect to copy. It almost might be worth it for her to re-roll that Jubilee for bolts to take out the Shriek. But then Rob's just going to have the ability to roll it again next turn.
Hill Reds. This Jubilee, which does nothing. Has priority. Attack with a 3/3 Jubilee.
Okay. I'll block the shriek. There you go. I have 3 in my bag.
So we've got an Iceman, 2 sidekicks, and 1 more to come, which is another sidekick. He's got to re-roll this Shriek, and he needs this Iceman. So Shriek comes back, it's level 1, 2 defense. He's got the Throne Brick. He really needs that Iceman to roll for him now. And he needs at least 1 bolt in order to make his techno happen. And he misses the Iceman again. That is heartbreaking. I have been
Okay.
the player.
We'll come in.
When your dice don't roll, it's so frustrating. He could buy another Iceman at this point.
I am going to use Clear Captain to look. There's 2 energies with this max by flipping.
So he's flipping strategies here. With his Iceman not rolling, he needs to do something else.
Correct. I would throw a brick at absorbing him. His defense is a 3. Pass priority.
I'll feed Psychic. Aspect.
Okay.
So Kim is fielding a sidekick to the Professor X Global, and I think Rob is holding to do one of that on his turn as well. He also has a bolt, which means when she passes priority,
Keep pulling her when I don't.
he could bolt out her sidekick or potentially the Jubilee, but that just gives her the ability to re-roll next turn and field. Kim could bolt out the Shriek here if she doesn't re-roll that Jubilee. She's got 2 bolts. And then she'd be able to take Rob for 4 damage. Lots of bolts now. No masks though.
That one.
We are at 19 minutes and 22 seconds left on time here. And if the game does not finish at time, we go to turns, at which point we do 0 to 5 turns, and the player with the most life at the end of turn 5 will be the winner of the match. Yeah, so Kim's decided to shut off globals. This means that Rob's purchase of the collector was smart because he will be able to actually start collecting in her Jubilees if she doesn't buy them all and do her damage with her own win con.
Professor X Global next.
purchase, right?
Yes.
Kim looks to be thinking about buying either a Shriek or another Jubilee. The other thing you can do with the collector is you can do some Shriek shenanigans. Both of them have Shriek, and you can start
I'll pass.
collecting in Shrieks.
I'll pass my priority to you, Jim.
Okay, I'll hold out your site.
Mm-hmm. And turn.
2 in the deck.
Kim's saving those bolts to Shrieks to KO stuff on Rob's turn.
There's Iceman. Profiling for rolls.
Iceman rolls, Collector rolls, Songbird rolls on bolts, which is not a bad thing at this point. She doesn't really need to Collector. It doesn't really need to intimidate anything at this point. But he can. And he would be able to push her through, since right now Kim only has Absorbing Man. That Iceman is on level 1 with a 4 defense. Kim actually has enough bolts to KO it. Rob's dice are really liking level 1 this whole day.
I will pay to put Iceman in. I'll put Songbird in.
What does she do?
She has Intimidate, and I will intimidate out your Absorbing Man.
Is that a when fielded effect?
Yeah, intimidates when fielded. The target opposing character dies when the field zone is open.
Is it
Intimidate,
actually when fielded?
Yes, when fielded.
that's the description. Intimidate is a keyword effect. So
Yeah, but
Absorbing
does it
Man
say
would not.
when fielded, comma, intimidate?
No, it just says intimidate.
Okay. I can't,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not on the picture thing, so I can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's a keyword effect, so it would not be copied
Yeah,
by
so I was
Absorbing
wondering
Man.
if it said when fielded, comma, intimidate.
Excellent question.
Yeah, Absorbing Man can't intimidate that, but okay.
No, only if it said when fielded. That's why I was asking if it said when fielded, comma, intimidate. But it would be safe if it said intimidate is when fielded, but I can't use it.
Right. So, your Absorbing Man,
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
keep going. I'm going to use Collector's ability to bring in one of your Absorbing Man. Because I have a wild that can be used as a max.
Yep, because it'll cost you 2.
It'll cost me. It's 3. Oh, it's 4 cost. Okay.
It's 2 less.
Thought it was a 3 cost. Okay. No, I won't bring that in. Sorry. I won't bring that in. I'm actually going to bring in my Tempo. My Collector and Tempo.
I always check the side.
Actually, you know what? So, I will not bring that in. I will bring in Yanti. Collector and Yanti, level 1 for the bolt.
Okay.
And I will declare an attack.
When it has
Oh,
priority.
sorry, yeah, sorry, it has priority.
What's your Iceman at?
4. 2, 4, level 1, and attack
Strong strategy by Kim there. Rob can no longer bolt the Iceman. She does have an empty field, so Rob can push with the Songbird and he can still prep.
Swing the songbird. Throw a brick at songbird. Never die. Two.
Alright.
So Rob has recovered,
Alright.
and Kim is now at 18 and Rob is at 16.
Sword in my bag.
We've got an Absorbing Man back in the field. That was a tricky turn. Kim has got lots of masks. Does not get the Mimic.
Oh boy. Shriek.
So Kim's purchased a Shriek. She has 2 masks left over. She can field a sidekick using Rob's Professor X Global.
How much are you holding? That's fair.
So Rob needs a big turn here. The good news is that Kim doesn't have any bolts this turn, so if Rob can get his Iceman engine going, this is not a good start, but he gets a reroll still. Needs that Iceman to roll, and it did not, so new strategies required. He could Collector in an Iceman for 2 and bolt it. Because he could make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He could make quite a number of bolts right now if he did that. Or is he just going to buy one? You could Collector in her Jubilee, doing Kim 2 damage, which would take it back to a tie game.
I'm gonna buy 2 yards.
Well, the Jubilee is shrieked.
Going to Plattsburgh.
With a sidekick.
I'm gonna use Warner Global. Bring this down to the rolls. I'm gonna use Collector to bring in Iceman a couple more. I'm gonna pass Prairie. I will declare an attack. It's 2 Iceman.
So Kim has to decide if she's going to block it. If she blocks it, she's going to take 2 points of damage. Rob also has a thrown brick, so in the global... Okay.
I'm gonna throw a brick at it. That'll do 2, and then it comes through for 2. 40.
Okay, so we're now 16 to Rob and 14 to Kim. We are really passing the numbers back and forth here. Guys, just to give you a heads up, we're at 8 minutes.
Okay.
So Kim's got a Mimic. What could be handy here is if she could mimic Rob's Collector. Rob didn't save any energy for this turn, but she could potentially end up with a Collector in her field. And then she would be able to use Collector's ability this turn. Kim also has a bag full of dice here. It's gonna be a while before she might get back her jubilees.
Whereas,
Just trying to thin that bag out, churn it through to find her jubilees.
feel, mimic, naming.
So both are KO'd. So Kim's saving 3 bolts.
Is mimic a when fielded ability? This is when mimic is fielded.
I've got time paused on this one, guys.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I can shoot this in the high priority rules questions for you.
Because yeah, the question would be is, can I use his effect with observing it? But would I have? Can I name another character or no?
This is mimic, flying, blasting, slashing.
Probably not, because if I named collector, no, it won't work because I'm guessing I'm using the copy of it, so it has to be the exact same. Naming collector.
Let's. It doesn't say you can choose a new target.
When mimic is fielded, choose a target from your character die. So maybe this is really kind of weird.
So is mimic, flying, blasting, slashing a when fielded ability for the purposes of copying the ability with absorbing man?
Yeah, rare.
What's his subtitle? Harold's Ice Cream?
Yeah. No. Whole ball of chain.
Oh, old ball and chain. And I should tag, who am I supposed to tag on this? Chris and Ryan? Because they're the judges.
Ryan and PK.
Okay. PK and in match with Rob, L, and SuperK. Alright, so I've dropped it in there. Chris shows as online right now. So hopefully we will get an answer quickly. This is why we have the rules questions high priority channel. And PK is not online right now. However, Chris and Ryan are both online at this point. And Ryan is typing back. And we do have time paused, so.
How much time do we have left?
I think you guys are at 6 minutes and 21 seconds.
Left?
Yeah. Okay, so Ryan is reviewing the 2 cards. Joe is weighing in. PK has weighed in with just the choosing, not the copying.
Yeah, that sort of jives with what I'm reading in the Dice Masters rule form.
Just the choosing, not the
PK is still typing. So it's meaningless to copy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll copy the same as it'll copy a collector again.
Yeah.
Really, is what it is.
And there's nothing really to do at that point because collector's KO'd. Okay, so you guys are good?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've thanked them. I will mute and start time again. So Kim, you were, yeah, okay.
And turn.
Turn? Okay. I have 2 in my bag.
So we've resumed time here after reviewing the high priority rules questions, which is fantastic that Chris and Rob's Game Room have that in their Discord channel for the purposes of this tournament, and the judges are usually available to answer very quickly. We are on just under 6 minutes left in time.
Collector show.
And I do think this is going to run.
But no, but not. I'll build Monty.
Kim has 3 bolts.
Sidekick. I paid 2 bolts to build Collector. Songbird being Absorbing Man. Double 8.
I think Rob's going to lose his Wanty and his Shriek here with Kim's bolts. He is going to be able to collect or something in. If he does this right and lets Kim bolt out his stuff first, he could collect her in to Jubilee.
I will use Collector to bring in. Okay, I'm going to use 1 bolt to Collector in one of your Jubilees on level 1. So you'll take 2 bolts again, is that correct?
Yeah, but if she's blank, does that mean anything?
Oh yeah, she's blank. I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
So you can't really.
Yeah, I shouldn't do that then. So then what I'm going to do is I will bring in I'll bring in one of your absorbing men. I'll put 2 in one of your absorbing men.
Okay.
Yep, and I'll pass priority.
So Rob's brought in an Absorbing Man on level 1, and I can only assume this is just to attack with it for 3 points. With Kim's empty field.
Songbird is a 2,
That's a
2, 2,
level
2, 3.
2.
Really good turn.
Based on what's in Kim's bag, I really think she should focus on the Shriek and the Wanty. She's gonna take 6 if she does that though, because Rob will attack with Songbird and will attack with Absorbing Man, and she'll have no way to block. So it may be worth it for her to KO the Songbird, and then she would only take 3 from her own Absorbing Man. Either way, she is on the back foot here. With at 14 points, she's going to take at least 3 more.
You're gonna pick out your Yanti and 2 psychics.
Okay. Interesting.
And I will swing with your absorbing man.
You should attack with the Songbird.
Yeah, I'll swing with Songbird as well.
Yeah, that's a smart move.
5.
So Kim is now on
Okay.
9, and she needs a big turn. Kim did not take out the Shriek, which I think is interesting.
This will be interesting. Oh,
She can certainly ping out the Shriek at this point, but she'd have to do that before she fields Wrecker. And now if she can get Shriek out of the field with Mimic, then she could do 8 points of damage.
Spin this to a bolt. First time's on the field, mimic naming Shriek.
Kim rolls
Fate.
character.
KO'd.
Rob rolls energy. Shriek is no longer in play. Jubilee is open.
Field Jubilee, which will do 2, with absorbing damage of 4.
So that's going to take Rob to 12, and then she's going to do it again, taking him down to 8. And then she's going to field Wrecker, stopping the sidekicks. We are now on turn 0.
Turn 0. Field Wrecker. Priority, you have nothing. I'll attack the 2/1 Jubilees.
Okay, I'll block with sidekick and conductor.
Sidekick.
Okay, turn 1. So Rob is on 8 and Kim is on 9. No globals here.
Roll the sidekicks. Roll Rock to Risk Collector.
Shrieking.
He needs to Shriek the Jubilee.
What level is that? Record?
1. 3/3.
If he shrieked the Wrecker,
I'm gonna shriek.
he could Techno Global and bolt stuff out, and then could he swing? If Wrecker is shrieked, he's got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He might be able to do it. Can he win this turn is the question. If he shrieks Wrecker, then he has Mjolnir Global available to him and Techno Global.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You mean Jubilee?
Sorry, Jubilee. That's the one I meant.
Yeah.
It's getting late and we're getting a little punchy over here.
Okay, and I'll ask this one.
So he can't do that because Wrecker's active, but Kim has to catch it. Kim has to catch the fact that Wrecker is active and he can't use global from a non-active character die.
I'll use Counter-Strike Global. Sidekick. And I will Collector in Iceman on one of them. Last priority.
That's fine. And I can't use globes.
Okay. I will swing with Iceman 2.
Two, four. I'll block them with Wrecker.
Okay.
So Kim's going to take 2 points, which is going to put her on 7.
Alright, turn two.
So Kim's got the Mimic and the Shriek here, which gives her a good chance of being able to take out Shriek on the other side. And then she would be able to hit Rob for 4. Which would put him on 4. This game is going to go all the way to the bitter end, I think. After this turn, Rob potentially has 2 more turns and Kim has 1.
Interesting. Field Mimic and Collector.
So we've got a collector roll here.
Okay.
Both Mimic and Collector are KO'd.
That plan backfired.
I think Kim was hoping to get a collector of her own there. so that she could have shriek, and then brought in another Jubilee to copy the one-fielded effect with absorbing man.
Shriek, name Shriek.
And that's, as expected, opening up Jubilee to do 4 points of damage to Rob. Kim will have 4 attackers, and Rob has 4 blockers, so it's not going to give her any advantage.
So that 4.
So that takes Rob down to 4 points, or 7, 4.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that Jubilee is on a 3/3 face, and Rob has a sidekick in the field, so he would just be able to block with sidekick and keep it in the field, preventing Kim from rolling it next turn.
I enter.
So Rob has an Iceman in the bag, and he's refilling. He did get an Intimidate Songbird, so if she rolls, he could intimidate out the Wrecker and allow him to use globals. But he needs that Songbird to roll to make that happen. And it does not.
Okay, I'll spend this to 4 points.
Rob could Collector in a Songbird here and intimidate out Wrecker.
I'll spin this down to 1 point. Another song. Intimidating.
And now globals are open again. He needs to
I'll feel the psychic.
So Rob's going to initiate the attack step, going all in.
So the highest is Yangti at a 3/1. Iceman at a 2/4. Another Yangti at 2/1. Shriek at 2/2. Rest on a 1 attack.
So 4 is going to get through regardless, and then he can ping Iceman 2, 4, 6. plus if Kim blocks
Collector
Iceman.
one?
1-5.
So if Kim blocks Iceman, she's going to take 2. And then Rob can still bolt him 3 times.
So it's all left 4 is ones.
Yeah, these are all ones. Yep, and these are 2, 2, 2.
I don't think there's a way out of it for Kim here. She only has 7 life. I don't think there's any strategy that she has here that's going to help her.
Sorry, what's Iceman? 2?
Level 1.
Streak is 3-3.
2, 3. Okay.
Block both your Yankees.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I could do anything.
Can't get out of it.
Kim.
You're on your 6. 4 points of damage.
Yeah. Yeah, good game.
Yeah, very good game. Real nail biter.
Great game, guys. That one was tough.
It was.
Again, it came right down to the wire.
And your
Collector. Yeah.
given I would have collected, it would be an 8.
Kim, do you want to say anything for the outro before I stop recording?
Nope, we just got.
Alright, I will stop recording. Thanks, guys.